Hello everyone, back tuning into today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days. For today's second video, that'll take us to around the 9th of December, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles. They run to around a couple of weeks. We'll have a look at the CFSV2 for December. At the end of the video, of course, January Friday has just been released. That's a month-end look ahead with Japanese and CFS V2 models. Looks like it's going to be very unsettled in December if those two models are right. They are throwing the Atlantic at us after a relatively dry start. So have a look at that and see what's going on there. Tonight, we're going to have Terry Scully's winter forecast for you and a big weekend of updates coming up at GalService this weekend. I'll talk through all of those at the end of the video. But starting off with the latest developments stratosphere-wise. So this is the GFS Meteo Seal GFS forecast for the temperature at 10 HPA in the stratosphere over the North Pole, the blue colours. We've got the cold temperatures over the Arctic and the North Pole at 10 HPA. We're looking to get a sudden stratospheric warming, or a warming of the stratosphere. That's where we lift the temperature up by several degrees and move it into the stratosphere over the Arctic. So this is how things are currently looking and forecast to develop over next week. You see, we do get a warming over Siberia. It's not a sudden stratospheric warming, it's a moderate warming of the stratosphere over Siberia, where we've got these green and yellow colours, but we keep the blue colours going over the North Pole and over the Arctic itself. Moving into the extended range with the GFS, that warming does intensify a little bit over Siberia, but again, not reaching sudden stratospheric warming type levels and being restricted to the edges of the Arctic, really keeping those blue and purple colours going over the Arctic and the North Pole itself. So up to like the middle of December, there's no sign of a sudden stratospheric warming. The GFS has definitely backed away from that idea. We'll keep looking, of course. Central England temperature for November looks like this. This is provisional up to the 28th of November, up to yesterday, standing at 6.8 degrees, which is an anomaly of just 0.1 of a degree above average. That's provisional up to yesterday, 28th of November. That's about as high as it's going to get. The next couple of days we'll see that dropping a little bit, probably shave a couple of tenths of a degree off that. So probably going down to around 6.6. Let's get rid of that and start again. So probably going down to around 6.6 without downwards corrections, but there will probably be a downwards correction which takes off another 0.3 of a degree. So I think in the end we're probably going to finish up around 6.3 for this November CT. Somewhere around there. It could be a little bit lower, could be a little bit above that, but I think somewhere sort of 6.2, 6.3 be where we finish up. A little bit colder than average, set against 61 to 90, and an even bigger deviation set against the more modern 81 to 2010 average. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. We're looking at Lincoln today. Now, this is another suggested location for this section of the video. If you would like to have your local town or city featured within this part of the video, then all you need to do is let us know through comments to GalService, or you can email us at galservice@gmail.com or ask us through our social media, Facebook and Twitter accounts, and we are always happy to add your local town or city to this part of the video. So red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Lincoln. And we can see that we are below average, actually, with the upper air temperatures at the moment. And we're going to be staying cold on average through the weekend as well. Next week sees a gradual lift up in the temperature. It's not until around the middle of the week, though, that we go slightly above average. And that's only for a few days, really, for the middle part of next week. And then the temperatures slide away again towards the end of next week. Dates are on the bottom of the chart. So into the second week of December, which is this period just here, it looks like the upper air temperatures then are very close to average, but a little bit up and down, indicating there will be some warmer and colder sectors alternating. Precipitation-wise, so plenty of dry weather coming up over the next week. We really are going to have a much drier spell of weather than we've had for quite some time. So a prolonged run of, particularly for England and Wales, several dry days till the second half of next week. After that, it gradually turns more unsettled. The second week of December does look quite a lot wetter and quite a lot more unsettled than the first week of the month. Temperature anomalies from the 29th of November to the 7th of December are forecast to be rather colder than average, going to be below average, excuse me, with the temperature anomaly in the week ahead, particularly so for England and Wales. That's probably down primarily to cold, frosty nights. Under this area of high pressure will go on probably even into the middle of next week, even while the upper air temperatures start to lift up through the early and middle part of next week. I think for the surface temperature, particularly if we start getting fog developing, as I think we might do, then that will limit the temperatures right way through to the middle of next week. So for England and Wales, quite a cold week coming up. Not quite as cold as that for Scotland and Northern Ireland, but even so, still a little bit below average. Precipitation is looking nice and dry. Been a long time since we've had that. So yes, 29th of November to the 7th of December, drier than average. This is how the latest GFS run, the 6 o'clock run, is looking for Monday. High pressure in control. It's quite cold. The air coming around that high pressure is pretty cold, but it should be mainly dry. We keep this high pressure dominating through to Tuesday. A little bit milder for Scotland, a little bit more of a southwesterly wind, especially in the north and west of Scotland, bringing a bit of rain there. But most places looking dry. Again, under this ridge, it will be quite cold. Could be night frost and probably freezing fog getting more widespread, if anything, through the early part of next week. That's Wednesday. Time to re-establish a westerly flow into Scotland on Wednesday, but for England and Wales, we're still under that ridge of high pressure. Yes, upper air temperatures will be getting milder, even down in the south under that high pressure by the middle of next week. But on the surface, in the surface, or through the surface, I think it could well be quite cold again up to the middle of next week. And even into Thursday, look, we have got a west-south-westerly for Scotland and Northern Ireland, but for England and Wales, nothing's really happening to stir the air up. So next week could actually be quite cold, even if the upper air, down in the south, even if the upper air temperatures are saying mild, we could have had an inversion where it's colder on the ground than it is aloft. May get a little bit of that through the middle part of next week. By the end of next week, this is Friday, a week away, we are all going back into those west-southwesterlies, so that will stir up the air and we'll all be milder by the end of next week. Into the weekend of the 7th and the 8th of December, unsettled low pressure rattling through. That will bring quite a dramatic change in the weather with plenty of rain and some quite strong winds as well. That clears out of the way and we go into rather cold, showery northwesterly. Then into the more extended range, looking very unsettled. This is Wednesday the 11th of December, very unsettled with low pressure piling in off the Atlantic. And gradually this low pressure begins to sink southwards with the jet stream. The black line is the jet stream. That's shifting southwards in the extended range with this GFS, and so it's taking this area of low pressure here with it. That is also sinking southwards, and so as we move up to the middle of December, we go into a much colder run of northeasterly winds. That's how we finish up with this GFS run on Sunday the 15th of December, and we are in a cold north to northeast wind, which will probably bring in snow showers to northern eastern parts of the country. But remember, that's over 2 weeks away, so it's a very long way out. GEM looks like that, so the high pressure again building in through the early part of next week, dominating weather away from Scotland, keeping it mainly dry and cold down in the south, but for England, for Scotland and Northern Ireland, it's turning quite a lot milder by the middle of next week. Second half of next week sees those milder westerly winds eventually getting down even into the south, so we're all turning milder by the end of next week, but also windier and potentially a little bit wetter too. And then moving up towards day 10 with the GEM, increasingly unsettled. That looks quite wet there on day 10, which is Monday the 9th of December. And then the ECM, we've got the high pressure again building in from off the Atlantic through Monday, and that high pressure will be dominating across many parts of the country, away from Scotland anyway, on Tuesday. The high pressure is still in control for Wednesday. This could be cold and foggy through the first half next week, down in the south, where it's milder up in the north. Even to Thursday, this ridge is still continuing across England and Wales. Nothing happening to stir the air up, so I'm a little bit concerned, but we might go into quite a foggy spell next week. you never know with fog in this country. What makes me think we may get more fog than normal? Of course, we don't get as much fog as we used to get a few years ago, but we may get more fog than normal with this particular spell because it's been so very wet. The ground is very, very damp and cold and sodden, and so I think the recipe will be there for widespread fog if the skies are clear. I know the UK Met already has sort of watches out for fog for tonight across parts of England and Wales. This is Thursday next week. Nothing has happened to stir the air up, and you would assume that the fog just gets more and more widespread night by night. But we shall see. We shall see how that develops, of course, next week. Further north, it's a lot milder than Scotland. No problems there. Southwesterly, westerly winds, and will be much milder up in the north and no fog. By the end of next week, we're all going into this breezier weather. That will turn things milder at the end of next week, but also clear away any problems with fog. And then moving into the weekend of 7th, 8th December, we take low pressure over towards Norway, bring a cold front down across the country, bring a band of rain. Behind that, it potentially turns rather cold, winds swinging to the north. That will drive snow showers into northern and northeastern parts of the country by Sunday, the 8th of December. And by the time we get through to day 10, which is Monday the 9th, we're still looking quite cold actually here. Winds remaining from the north, although this high pressure begins to topple back in from off the Atlantic. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10, which of course gets us to the 9th of December. So we have 28 members of the ECM ensembles that have a deep trough of low pressure to our east and a mid-Atlantic ridge to our west. They're unsettled and cold, with turning winds into the north. And then we have 23 members of the ECM ensembles that have this ridge sort of toppling into the country from the west. It's still cold with these. Winds are coming in from a north-northwesterly direction, but settling down as this ridge begins to build in across the country. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. This one is getting us to the 14th of December, of course, mid-month. So we have 17 members of the ECM ensembles looking very unsettled. Low pressure is centred over to the east of the country. Winds are coming in from the north, so they're cold and unsettled. Another 13. That's 17, I should say, 17 members of the ECM ensembles. 13 just here, with low pressure to our north, very unsettled, and bring the winds in from the west. So that's going to be a milder option, but also very unsettled there. 12 with a deep trough of low pressure over the country and to our south and east. High pressure out to the north and west. They're going to be very unsettled and cold. Winds will be coming in from the northeast with those. And then 9 with northern blocking. This is the coldest option. Means we've got high pressure between Greenland and Scandinavia. And then a deep trough of low pressure is to the south of the country. And that will bring the wind in from the east or the northeast. That will be the coldest option. And there'd be wind tree there, those 9. There'd be wind tree, they'd be bringing in snow from the east probably and from the northeast by the middle of December. So quite a lot of options on the table, but it looks as though as we head towards the middle of the month, we turn increasingly unsettled, if anything. So a dry opening week to December, yes. But by the time we get into the second week of the month, and particularly heading up to the middle of the month, we could be back under the cosh again of low pressure. And then finally, CFS-V2 for December. These are the 700 millibar height anomalies from the CFS for December, looking very unsettled. Low pressure with these blue curves, below average heights over to the north of the country. There is a ridge down to our southwest that's trying to bring up milder air from the southwest. But actually, I think a lot of that milder air is probably passing us by. And we're just looking very unsettled and very cool there, or quite cool really, with the wind coming in from like the North Atlantic, coming in from there, along with the jet stream and milder air that this ridge is trying to push up from the southwest and from the middle of the Atlantic. That's doing something a bit like that. So we're not really going into those mild southwesterlies. We're bringing in west to northwesterlies, which are quite cool. But the main thing, of course, such a deep area of low pressure will be bringing a lot of wet weather with it. Temperature anomalies of CFS are a little bit above average for December. It's not a particularly big deviation. Precipitation anomalies hint anyway at being a bit wetter than average, especially across the northern parts of the country. So the CFS continues its idea of a very wet and a very unsettled December after a relatively dry start. So that's it. It looks like we're definitely going to get some drier weather next week. Make the most of it, because by the time we get into the second week of December, we could well be going into a much more unsettled and potentially rather cold spell as well. Reading between the lines of the GFS and the ECM, I think there is the chance of cold and unsettled conditions here in the second week of December and moving up to the middle of the month. How cold it gets, of course, it remains to be seen. There's no really strong signal for true northern blocking to drive in very cold conditions, so it may just be chilly and unsettled. But it does look as though by the time we get to the second week of December, we are probably going to go back to unsettled and quite cool conditions again. That's your videos for today. Then now at 7 o'clock tonight, we've got Terry Scully's winter forecast. That's going to be a very, very interesting read at gazovitz.com. That's at 7 o'clock tonight. You'll be able to have a read of that. Big weekend coming up tomorrow. We're going to start off with the third and final seasonal model roundup, getting all of long range models, all 14 of them, together for the final time to see what we're all showing for this winter. We'll have a week to 10-day video update tomorrow as well, and I think we will also be doing the weekend forecast, of course, on Saturday. I think we've got a Christmas update penciled in for tomorrow as well. So much going on with the updates tomorrow. Saturday, I think we'll have Terry Scully's December forecast, and, of course, it's the big one. It's the GazWeatherViz.com Winter 2019-2020 forecast. We have done 13 winter updates, 3 seasonal roundups after tomorrow, and it's all been building up to the winter forecast. That winter forecast will be released at 10 a.m. on Sunday morning. There'll be a live stream as well on YouTube on Sunday evening between 5 and 6 o'clock, talking about that winter forecast. So a lot going on at the website this weekend, and I hope you're going to enjoy all of the updates. Do keep checking back for more Terry's winter forecast coming up tonight at 7. That's all for now, though, and thanks for watching.